Let's bring in House Budget and House Ways and Means Committee member, Congressman Jody Arrington. Congressman, great to see you. What Kevin Warsh is saying, and he has actually been saying this for more than a decade, he wants to basically stop printing money, reduce the size of the balance sheet, but that means rather than blowing out the balance sheet, cut it and then cut interest rates. That allows them to lower interest rates, which is the it reverses the enrichment of the rich, is what the Fed has been doing. But this would also force Congress to stop spending money. Can Congress do that?
Well, we did it in the big beautiful bill to the tune of 1.5 trillion. It's a start. It's more than stopping digging the hole. We have to rinse and repeat, because we're going to add another 20 trillion over the next 10 years to a debt of 38 trillion and an indebtedness that's greater than when we were in a world war. And listen, Kevin Warsh understands that, and he understands that the Federal Reserve's activism with all these long-term asset purchases and a bloated balance sheet has been complicit in this unbridled spending and this death spiral that we're on from an economic and fiscal perspective. But he also understands that we are in this supply growth surge, and we don't need to also artificially hold back demand with this contractionary Fed fund rate policy. So I think he's got a good balanced view of it. He's concerned about the debt. He believes in the good fundamentals that are in place, and he believes truly in market principles and free people and free markets operating most efficiently, not central planning.
He's going to try to change the very culture that has defined the Federal Reserve, at least for 10 years, through from Janet Yellen on through Powell. He's going to try to get them to change a lot of the regulatory things that they have. The very notion that he wants the Fed to abandon the dogma that inflation is caused when the economy grows too much. He said that specifically. He's going to need the support of folks on the Hill. He can't do it alone. He's going to have to fire a lot of those 300 economists who've been dealing with these false notions about what makes an economy churn out inflation. And it's not growth that does that, it's printing too much money. Is he going to get the backing from people like you in Congress that he's going to need?
I believe he will, because I think most members of Congress, even though they have avoided the hard decisions as we discussed on fiscal policy, namely reining in unbridled deficit spending, they understand that that's in our wheelhouse and that we can't lean on the Federal Reserve to bail us out with their interventionist policies. That's not their role. Their role is the dual mandate. I think, again, Kevin Warsh will restore the integrity of focusing on that dual mandate role and put the pressure where it ought to be, where the will of the people is reflected in the United States Congress, to start righting the ship and getting our fiscal house in order.
To be clear, what I was saying earlier, he believes that blowing out the balance sheet, printing all of this money, it went up to $9 trillion, it enriched the rich. He called it reverse Robin Hood, and he wants to reverse that. Incredible thing. Lower interest rates, it makes credit cheaper for working people. So we want to get to this. The president himself earlier wrote an op-ed for the Wall Street Journal, crowing about his tariffs. Here's some of what he had.
All right, first and foremost, I'd like to give infinite honors and prayers to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem Rekah Gwadash, the honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, and salutation to the Akams that's pushing the truth and sincerity. Lord willing, the video be edifying first and foremost to the whole elect and those that cleave to the body. And this guy, Warsh, all right, that they put in, he's been put in position to even, make the debt rise even higher, man. All right, you had Doge turned to the Department of Efficiency. All right, when Trump was first elected, you had you had Elon Musk, these tech giants. All right, all around a cutback on spending, government spending. and different things of that nature, to cut back the growth and, save the people credit card debt or whatever, whatnot. But, the U.S. national debt then surpassed the size of the economy. So that's safe to say that there's no way to get under it, because as the economy or the people is just, they're steady having people born. All right, the economy is going to require a higher output of money, and they can't just keep printing money out the thin air. All right, that's what inflates the money. On top of the trillions of dollars of debt, they have, with China. All right. And it says it done surpassed the size of the economy for the first time since World War II. And it can't get under. All right. This devil, everything that he do, all right, all the money that he put into and give away to these other countries and different nations, or everything that he got involved in, man. All right. It just points to this devil is not trying, all right, to get the debt down. All right. He's not working on that to cut debt, that. And he's not doing that. Okay. And what's happening, man, the economists, all right, or the keepers of the house, they're all in coerced, to do the same, man. All right, to run everything up. You got the big beautiful bill, as the man mentioned. All right, go read some of the language inside of that, man. All right, and you'll see what the hell is going on. This Habakkuk 2 and 6. It says, shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his? How long? Now, and to him that leaded himself with thick clay. Now, remember, Babylon had been a ladies of kingdom. And this Babylon the Great is spiritually talking about America, all right, in the Bible. That's how you locate America in the Bible, all right? She had been a lady of kingdoms, all right? Meaning what? She was the top merchant to trade with. The gold had been a golden city in the cup of the hand of the Lord. All right. But now, all right, she have letted herself with thick clay. All right. So, and what is that, that thick clay? That's debt. All right. Let's get it. Okay. It said the weight of pledges, heavy debts. All right, pawn goods, or obviously, the deals they have allegedly made with these other countries to get X amount of goods in. All right, and they'll pay them back. They had good credit at a time, but now this devil, the debt clock. If we pull that up, all right, it's gonna be outright. So now you're looking at a historic debt. So high that there has to be war. All right, nothing else can happen. And they have taken a pledge, all right, and to pay this back. And guess who they had as the payback? Us people, man. All right, if they ever default on the payments of these companies, all right, they have these the social securities, that's the debt. All right. That's the fallback on of the debt. They just give up the people, man. All right. Well, that's why they don't care if the debt run up. It don't have nothing to do with the ruling elites, man. They got all the riches. They have all the riches in the world, man. But the bottom line is, I mentioned with Elon Musk. All right, when they came in the Department of Efficiency to cut costs back, all right, to try to save, they got to take from the poor. All right, everything they cut back on, all right, ultimately, they're taking from the poor. SNAP benefits, they dealing with anything Social Security, all right, the things that they giving out for free from not the loans, all right, but just giving out higher loan interest rates, all right, on the loans of that nature, giving out hiking the Fed rate, interest rate, all right, so all these things it's just gonna comprise into, it's just gonna have to blow up. Some swells up so much it has to then blow up. It says the U.S. national debt has surpassed the size of the U.S. economy, a historic threshold that hasn't been crossed since the conclusion of World War II. And now that we are on the cusp of World War III, how ironic, right? You know, how ironic that threshold haven't been crossed since the conclusion of World War II. All right. And some of the things too, let me read this real quick. I put this up, what does the national debt surpasses the size of the economy mean? It says when the national debt surpasses the size of the economy, the GDP, it means the total outstanding money owned by the federal government, all right, 31.27 trillion, is greater than the total value of all goods and services produced in a year. All right, the things we live off, right, what we need to keep to survive. Approximately 31.22 trillion, resulting in a debt to GDP ratio exceeding 100%. This indicates high potential unsustainable debt levels, often leading to increased interest payments and reduced economic growth, right? And they can't put things in the economy, fix the roads, the different things that help the people. Similar to a household holding more debt than its annual income. All right. So when you have more bills than the money you make, all right, you automatically enter into a default state. Right. That's like if you got a job and say every 2 weeks you make $2,000. Exactly. Right. That's after taxes, whatever. So for the month, you're going to get $4,000. Let's say you got a house note that's $1,800. Say you got a light bill that's $400, right? That's what? 22. Let's say you got insurance that's $700. All right, that's 22 and 7. That's $2,900. All right, let's say you pay for daycare, which is $400 to $500 a month. That's $34. All right, let's say you got a water bill that's $200. That's $36. All right, let's say you got so that's water, electric. Well, did the electric and the water, did the insurance, a cable bill, $100. All right, that's 35 or 36, somewhere around there. And then you got to start to get out, your money you pay for gas. All right, your essential, your daily bread, your food that you're not counting. All right, what's going to happen every month? You're going to end up in debt. Okay, you're living above your means. And that's what happened with America, man. All right, they bit off more than they can chew. It says the key aspects and implications. All right, Salaki. It says the significance of the milestone. The level represents a critical fiscal point, which they kept on, alluding to, right? Fiscal. All right, which fiscal just goes into a tax, like is relating to the government revenue, right? So that's the federal, like the taxes. Okay, because even on debt, you also have taxes, all right? It says previously only seen during World War II, which threatens long-term prosperity. So this is the economic risk, reduced growth. High debt burdens can hinder economic expansions. Higher interest rates, increased borrowing needs can drive up interest rate and inflationary pressures, right? So now loans, you get houses, let's say you bought a house, while these tariffs and different things, which she was going to speak or start to get into, those also hike up, prices on things, man. All right, because when you put tariffs on other people now, the things that you need to get in, they no longer want to trade it to you or charge America higher to import it. And then America, they have to charge the people, all right, the commerce and goods that the people have to get from day to day. They got to hike the prices up. See? It says, increase interest payments. Servicing this high debt becomes more costly and can lead to crowding out other public spending. You see? Context. While some believe this is manageable level of debt in specific situations, others consider it an alarming bell requiring significant budget reforms. So they're going to cut back on things, all right? They're going to cut back on anything, the budgets or anything they give out, man. But again, this devil has led itself with their clay, Hold on. Yeah, Salaki about that. Damn demon, man. All right. But Okay. So I went into the context of what, things that it is, that fiscal imbalance, the taxes, the things that's on, that kind of got us in this position. But it's alarming because it done surpass, as it says, it done surpass the size of the economy, man. So this thing is about to blow up ultimately. All right. The data released by the Bureau of Economic Analysis on Thursday showed that the national debt held by the public reached 31.27 trillion as of March 31st. While the normal gross domestic product, right, was estimated at 31.2 trillion for the 12-month period ended in March. All right. That pushed the debt held by the public as a percentage of GDP above 100%. All right. Meaning that the public debt is now larger than the size of the U.S. economy, which I read. All right. Okay. And then exclude the debt in the and held in the government accounts. Why? One debt should be all debt, right? With the latest data showing the public debt eclipsing the size of the U.S. economies, the federal government is quickly approaching the all-time record debt to GDP percentages of 106%, which was set in 1946 as the U.S. was in the process of demobilizing after the end of the World War II. The U.S. debt set to crush World War II records as annual deficits explode to $3 trillion within decade. Now, I'll say this, right? They comparing World War II to a time where the debt was past the economy, all right? And this going to surpass that. So what do you think has to come? A world war, all right? Because a war is a racket, right? It's going to change. This war is to change the whole, monetary system, all right? And amongst other things. But what these devils don't know, all right, that the Lord gonna intervene in this war. You see, they believe these bankers. I believe it's the wife of Myriam Bobchild. All right, said if my sons didn't want war, there wouldn't be any. No, if the Lord didn't want wars, there wouldn't be any. All right, you just got your devil set up to, be the puppets of it. Why he control y'all minds. Okay, but let's jump here. It says the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office released a 10-year budget and an economic outlook earlier this year that projected the U.S. will break the post-World War II record in 2030 with the debt held by the public estimated at 108% that year. A decade from now, debt held by the public and the share of GDP is projected to reach 120%. So you just see it inflating. All right, that's pretty much, the point. There's no need to go higher from there, but I'll get this precept and get out of here. All right. This is Ecclesiastes. You got to go there. All right. It's simply about the debt. It's just just reporting. Ecclesiastes 12. I'm going to start at 3. In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bind themselves. And the keeper of the house is the economist, man. All right, those are the managers of the house, the people that keep everything in order. And the grinders shall cease because they are few, and those that'll look out the windows be darkened. And this place is being shut down. Trade getting cut off, tariffs, tensions is, in the Middle East, right? We're in a proxy war, Iran and Israel. Now America have to enter in. So, all the things is happening as such. It says, and the door shall be shut in the streets. Right? When things rise, there ain't gonna be no jobs like that. You ain't gonna be getting paid like that. When the sound of the grinding is low. And when these jobs, you can't find jobs in America, man. All right? And even if you have a job, it's not paying enough. Gas is high as hell, from the tariffs, from the war, the Iran war, right? The oil and the gas situation, Everything is, it's just blown out of proportion. It says, and he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and the daughters of music shall be brought low. But the doors are being shut in the street, man. And the windows are being darkened. So expect the debt to go up more, and expect, the Lord to continue to close down Babylon. So I don't want to wrap this out. It was edifying. Till next time I see you. Shalom.